Well, ladies and gentlemen, come gather round, come gather round, come gather around. Today, we gotta roll some fenders because these sweet fat widened wheels are too wide. Let's go. So a while back, link somewhere, wherever they end up now, I widened a set of wheels for this. I went an inch wider than factory, so from 15.6 to 15/7. And I like the look of it, but like everything, I just wanted a little bit more. And then I bought the matching copy of this for my wife, and I ordered the same lowering springs, and I put those wheels on hers, so we have his and hers matching lowered Hyundai Accents with widened wheels, and I made a wider set for this one. These are now 15/7.5, and they look meaty, and they fill out the fenders really nice, and I got a link for that set of wheels as well, and how I widened those. But we have some issues. Let's see if we can zoom in and have a look at this. So this is the front fender edge. And I'm gonna zoom you into here. Whoop, and probably up a little bit. And you can see that this tread is being shredded by this guy. And that's a little bit of a problem. Let me pull out my Palm Pilot and show you what's going on. Okay, so that edge of the fender does this. There's a flat piece which is right here, just above the wheel. And then it kind of cooks over like that, and that's the fender edge. That gives the fender strength so it doesn't lose its shape. However, that is cutting my tires. So I'm going to go into that horizontal bit there, and I'm going to slowly persuade it and massage it up so that ultimately it'll look like the curved part of the fender, the flat part of the fender, and then this is going to go kind of up like that. Probably try to keep some of it in there, but reduce the chance of it to cut my tires. The back's a little different. I don't have any cutting, but I have rubbing issues. And if I'm carrying like people in my car, this thing sits too low. And I'm pretty sure the issue is right about here. But what's happening is when this is loaded or you hit a bump, this fender is rubbing the sidewall. And the more loaded the car is, the more of that rubbing happens. So I'm gonna have to pull this out just a little bit. Let's have a closer look at this one. Zooming in. Boop. Okay, so on this side, and we might move you around a little bit, it's already folded up. What I might need to do is pull it out. So let's see if you can have a look at this. You might be able to see that there's kind of an edge of melted rubber in there. Does that work? I mean, the paint's being kind of worn down and the rubber's kind of being left behind. What's funny is over this way. If I shine this in like so, you can see on the back side of this, some of that paint's been rubbed off. In fact, some of the rubber's been melted off right here. So that's a particularly offensive part of this. And if I go all the way across, you can see paint worn down through the primer and chunks of rubber being gooped all over the place on the inside of the inner fender. The whole fender edge all the way across is hitting this and rubbing, so I need to pull this out a little bit. Tools I've used for rolling fenders. Exhaust pipe, this is how I got started. Hammers, you monster. Baseball bat's one of my favorites. It's soft. Regular pipe this time, or if you got the scratch, an actual fender roller. That works pretty slick too. So in this case, I'm using 1¼ inch tubing, and I'm gonna wedge it in between the tire and roll it front and back. So hopefully we can get this in here. I'm just going to kind of give it some pressure like this, push it down, and roll the car front and back. Helps if you have a friend to do this. Some say this will scratch the paint. Paint's already scratched, like I care. don't want to go too far with this, because this doesn't move the inner fenders. If you're driving in like winter, you're going to want some inner fenders. Let's roll a little bit. It does take a bit of time. I want to do a little bit more there. Some use a heat gun to try and soften the paint, to make it a little more willing to do this. Good luck. So with just a little bit of rolling that pipe, and yeah, I chipped the paint a little bit, I don't really care. You can see it's kind of been rolled up a little bit and less likely to chip. Like right in, it starts rolling nicely in through here. I'll touch that up with some paint if I care. But I'm going to do a little bit more persuasion on this side with the fender roller. Bring this guy out here like so. Set it where you want it. This can be set at whatever angle you want to try and persuade it the direction you want to go. Alright, so we just got back from a trip to Vancouver with the whole family, all four of us in the Hyundai Accent, and I brought along a piece of pipe just in case I hadn't rolled the fenders enough. And it turned out the passenger side rear definitely was not rolled enough. So when we had a flat parking lot, I had the boys help me roll the car back and forth, and I rolled that edge out a little bit further. Driver's side needs a little bit of a fart more, and the front's still cut a little bit, but there we are. I do like the idea of the fender rollers, but I have more success with the pipe. Plus, I can kind of really focus on areas that rub, and with the wheel on, sitting at ride height, and I can feel the fender edge and find out where the rubber's burning off, I've got a better chance of really tweaking it. Let's take a look at the front fender for a second. So this is the driver's front, and there's like, I don't know what that is, but it's definitely rubbing and burning or doing something on there. I might be eating the paint that I had put on, but there's definitely some unhappiness on there. So I might have to pull this just a little bit further out. And driver's side rear just needs a little bit more to make it clear. When I'm sitting like this, it's not bad, and I can put the pipe in there and roll it pretty nice. With the car unloaded and sitting at rest, you know, I've got a good amount of use for here, but when I get the whole family in there, this thing is definitely tucking tire and tread in the whole bit, and you can't get your finger in here at all. So I'm just kind of feeling where the chunks of rubber are, and so there's a piece. It's definitely rubbing from here. It's not, there's a little bit of it there, so I probably just need to work on that edge. I don't think this side's the problem, but pretty much focusing on that edge and pull that out a bit more. I did a bit more on the other side. I didn't do this side. This one needs a little bit more love. But the fronts, still, they're kind of cutting a little bit. So really, I like using a piece of pipe or a baseball bat or something. So a couple ways you can do it. I'm not a body man, don't like body work, but I don't like tires rubbing. So that's my take on fender rolling. See if it's useful for you. Practice on somebody else's vehicle first. As always, thanks for watching. Take care, and we'll see you again.